Hey guys, welcome back to Unrealized Purpose. I'm Dalton Howell, this is Isaac Wooden, and we're going through Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, his book. And we are on this week, book 2 in Meditations, 8 through 10. And I've been really enjoying reading these because we just hopped in here. I set this up like a week ago because we didn't do one last week. But I'm literally reading this first meditation and it just clicked to me for just some things that happened this week. But anyways, that being said, we'll just hop right in.
So section 8, or however this feels like a verse almost, but
Book 2, verse 8 of Meditations.
yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. But it says, through not observing what is in the mind of another, a man has seldom been seen to be unhappy. But those who do not observe the movements of their own minds must of necessity be unhappy.
So when we think about this, the meaning, people's harmful actions often stem from ignorance or error, not malice. Recognizing this, patience and forgiveness as others act according to their nature or limited perspective, just as we do. So, yeah, this one hit me today because I was literally there was a particular situation in mind, and I was like, oh, I'm glad that we did this today because this reminds me, and now I'm going to approach it differently. Of just acknowledging that everybody doesn't think the same way that you do, so you're going to have differences, but often we get upset because you know, we have different levels of respect and different moral grounds that we stand that everybody may not stand on. And so it's not necessarily malice, it could just be ignorance or error. So we have to have patience and forgiveness in that manner. And
Yeah, and
us as Christians, oh, yeah, go ahead.
I'll just add on there, like, one thing that I learned is that, like, a lot of people, they're not rude or mean to you necessarily just because they're always mean and rude, but because they might be going through something and you just happen to be the person they let it out on. And so not having like oh man, they're just an absolute jerk of a person. It's just like maybe they're just dealing with something, hardcore, and you just happen to be the person that they directed their anger towards.
Yeah. So in this case, as Christians, obviously we're called to show mercy and understanding that sinful actions arise from weakness or ignorance. By imitating Christ's passions, we can forgive others, trusting God to judge hearts and guiding them toward truth and love, rather than us jumping to conclusions. So there's a good verse that goes with this, very familiar verse: judge not, and ye shall not be judged; condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned; forgive, and ye shall be forgiven. Which is, I think, detailed to that particularly. So yeah, that was meditations number 8.
So 9 goes like this. This thou must always bear in mind, what is in the nature of the whole, and what is my nature, and how this is related to that, and what kind of part it is of what kind of whole, and that there is no one who hinders thee from always doing and saying the things which are according to the nature of which thou art a part.
So basically, the whole idea of this is focus on living in the now, virtuously now, as death can come at any time, is what he's talking about here. External things like fame or opinions are irrelevant. Only thoughts and actions aligned with reason and goodness matter. That's kind of the entire concept of 9 there. For believers, obviously we're called to live each day. We're supposed to go through our day trying to do everything that we can right, to the best of our ability, knowing life is uncertain and only God's judgment endures. So we focus on righteous deeds. We focus on seeking God's glory over worldly approval and prepare for Christ's return or our mortal end. And so in James chapter 4:14, it says, wherever ye know not what shall be on the morrow, for what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away. So it's here and then it's gone. So it's very important every single day to wake up with a mindset of make everything that I say and everything that I do purposeful.
Yeah, well said. Moving on to the last one that we have here, the last little section. I may say this name wrong, but I think it says Theophrastus, I believe.
Nailed it.
Nice. In his comparison of bad acts, such a comparison as one would make in accordance with common notions of mankind, says, like a true philosopher, that the offenses which are committed through desire are more blamable than those which are committed through anger. For he who is excited by anger seems to turn away from reason with a certain pain and unconscious contraction. But he who offends through desire, being overpowered by pleasure, seems to be in a manner more intemperate and more womanish in his offences. Rightly then, and in a way worthy of philosophy, he said that the offence which is committed with pleasure is more blamable than that which is committed with pain, and on the whole, the one is more like a person who has been first wronged, and through pain is compelled to be angry, but the other is moved by his own impulse to do wrong, being carried towards doing something by desire.
Yeah, so right. I mean, it's the same kind of mindset all the way through with these, and a lot of them like entangle in with each other. But there's some truth there where it's talking about that the offenses which are committed through desire are more blamable than those which are committed through anger. Obviously, if you think about that long enough, you're like, oh, okay, there's one that's worse than the other. Yes, there's one that's worse than the other. But basically, the meaning of all this is that life is fleeting. It's going to be here and gone. So clinging to material things or fearing loss is futile. Embrace impermanence. So just a quick definition of impermanence: the state or fact of lasting for only a limited period of time. We all know we only have a limited period of time, but often we live like we're immortal. And we really do that every day because we're like, oh, well, there'll just be tomorrow. And it's like, well, maybe not. So live understanding that you are impermanent. The biblical doctrine here is that Christians accept the transient nature of earthly life, trusting God's plan, following his plan, detaching yourself from material pursuits, and more embracing heaven. We find peace in his truth and basically eternal life afterwards. And so we find peace in that purpose. So Ecclesiastes 3:1 is a great verse for this. To everything there is a season and a time, every purpose under the heaven. So basically, Marcus Aurelius here in these three, he's urging us to approach others with patience, live virtuously in the present, and embrace life's impermanence. Don't get so caught up in other people's wrongdoings towards you or their ignorance or things like that that you forget to have a purpose throughout your day. Don't let it affect you that much. So these principles, they harmonize with Christian teachings, which call us to forgive as Christ forgives. It calls us to pursue righteousness on a day-to-day basis and to basically trust in God's eternal purpose for us. So a good closing out verse for this is Ecclesiastes 3:1. It says we're reminded to embody compassion, righteousness, and faith, finding peace in God's unchanging truth, while at the same time navigating through the world as in people and just making sure that we don't let other people distract us from our main purpose. And so that's Marcus Aurelius's main lesson right here. It's just don't let other people distract you from your purpose throughout the day or their actions affect your actions.
That was a good segment. I'm looking forward to the next one. Catch you all next week.
Catch y'all next week.